The boardroom in our Yorkville office went quiet except for the radiator clanking against the cold November air outside. And when my husband Marcus put my name at the top of the layoff list, he didn't even look up from his tablet. I was responsible for 68% of the firm's billable revenue that quarter. I'd just walked him through the renewal numbers for our two biggest retainer clients an hour before the meeting started. And now my name was sitting in the first row of a spreadsheet titled Q4 Restructuring. Senior tier, right under a header that said compensation reduction, 35% benefits, suspended pending review. Marcus stood at the head of the table in his good navy suit, the one I'd picked out for him at Holt Renfrew 3 Christmases ago, and said the firm needed to right-size for sustainability, and that leadership should set the example. He didn't look at me when he said it. He looked at the wall behind me, like I was something he could see through if he just angled his head right. Beside him, in the chair that used to be mine before they moved the org chart around without telling me, sat Felicity Doyle, 6 days into the job. Title: Director of Strategic Partnerships, a made-up role that hadn't existed before she walked through the door. She tilted her head with this soft, concerned little frown and said, "Marcus, isn't this a little sudden? Genevieve's carrying so much right now." She knew nothing about our clients. She'd been in exactly 2 meetings, but she already had a parking spot 2 stalls closer to the elevator than mine. Marcus's voice gentled when he answered her, gentled, the way it never did for me anymore. "We don't operate based on who works hardest. We operate based on the bigger strategic picture." Someone near the end of the table cleared their throat. I caught the eye of Desmond Okafor, our VP of Client Relations, a guy I'd personally trained 4 years ago when he was fresh out of Schulich. His jaw tightened. He knew about the 11-hour days during the Whitlock Pharma acquisition. He knew the firm had survived the 2024 downturn, because I'd personally walked into 3 different boardrooms and talked our biggest accounts off the ledge. But nobody said a word, because the man at the head of the table was the CEO, and my husband of 6 years. I looked down at my phone and the restructuring notification that had just landed in my inbox CC'd to HR, the CFO, and the board's executive assistant. Timestamp 8:51 a.m. The meeting started at 9. He'd signed off on this before he'd even sat down across from me at breakfast that morning, eating the same oatmeal I'd made for him. I took a screenshot, quietly. Nobody noticed. Felicity was still talking, her voice doing that breathy self-sacrificing thing. "Honestly, I'd take a cut too. I just got here. We can't let Genevieve carry this on her own." Soft, generous sounding. But I'd seen the transition document open on her laptop screen the day before, angled just enough for me to read it without her knowing. Strategic accounts, Tier 1, 2, 3. Gradual transition to Doyle Partnerships Group. 90-day window. This wasn't a pay cut. This was a slow-motion eviction from my own career. I thought about the year we started this firm. The 2 of us in our cramped basement apartment off Bloor Street. Marcus with his laptop balanced on a milk crate. No clients, no money, telling me, "Jen, when this works, you're going to have the best seat in the building. I promise you that." I believed him. I went to every cold pitch with him. I sat in waiting rooms until 10 at night so we could land our first contract. I remember the year we almost lost everything, and I sold the condo I'd bought before we got married to cover 3 months of payroll. The firm made it. The best seat went to Felicity Doyle. Marcus finally turned to look at me. "Genevieve, you're a founding partner. You, more than anyone, should understand the bigger picture here." I'd heard that phrase so many times it had stopped meaning anything. When Felicity didn't understand a client file, I was the one who had to train her for the bigger picture. When his mother started inviting Felicity to Thanksgiving dinner before she'd even met my side of the family, that was the bigger picture too. When he picked Felicity up from Pearson at midnight on my birthday, because she'd just landed and didn't know anyone in the city, that was also, apparently, the bigger picture. I closed my laptop. The sound wasn't loud, but everyone at the table looked over anyway. Marcus frowned. "We're not finished." I stood and pushed my chair in. "I am." Felicity flinched like I'd raised my voice even though I hadn't. "Genevieve, please don't misunderstand. Marcus didn't mean it like that. If you're upset, I can talk to HR for you." "You don't need," I said, looking at her. "You're not the one who signed this." Marcus's voice dropped all low. "Genevieve, this is the office. I know." I picked up my phone and showed him the screenshot. "That's why I'm following procedure." I walked out. Somebody behind me sucked in a breath. Marcus called my names once. I didn't turn around. The hallway had floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the lake, gray and choppy that morning, and my reflection in the glass didn't look like a woman who'd just lost her footing. I looked calmer than I had walking into that meeting. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Don't make a scene. Keep this professional." I screenshotted that too, and kept walking toward HR. Priya Anand looked up from her desk when I came in, and her face did that thing people's faces do when they already half know what's coming. Genevieve. I set my phone on her desk, the restructuring email still open. I need to process my resignation today. She froze. Right now? Right now. Does Marcus know? He personally told me 10 minutes ago that the firm doesn't run on who works hardest. I slid a folder across her desk, every client file, every contract milestone, every risk note, organized and tabbed the night before, because some part of me had known this was coming for weeks. Handover's ready. Whoever takes over can sign off today. Priya stared at the folder, then at me, like she was only now understanding I hadn't done this on impulse. You always leave a clean paper trail, always. 10 minutes later, my resignation was submitted and the system flashed. Pending CEO approval. Footsteps in the hallway. Fast, hard ones I knew without looking up. Marcus appeared in the doorway, his face stripped of the calm boardroom mask. Genevieve, come out here. If you have something to say it here. Priya suddenly found her monitor very interesting. Do you understand what you're doing? He said. Resigning because of the restructuring list. No. I picked up Priya's pen and signed the last page of the handover form. Because I finally understand that to you, I will always come second to the bigger picture. His jaw worked. Felicity just started. She's young, she's still finding her footing. I'll move you back in 3 months. Does it have to be this dramatic? A few staff walking past slowed down to watch. Felicity had trailed in behind him, eyes glassy. Marcus, did I cause this? He didn't answer her either. I picked up my bag and walked past both of them. In the office, it's Mr. Hendricks. At home, we'll talk tonight. I didn't look back to see his face change. I only heard Felicity whisper behind me, did I get you in trouble? The elevator doors closed on my reflection. I looked at the ring on my left hand, the one I'd worn for 6 years. The inscription on the inside reading my anchor. I took it off and dropped it to the bottom of my bag before the doors opened on the lobby. By the time I hit the street, my phone had 3 missed calls from Marcus and 1 from Felicity. I didn't answer any of them. The receptionist, a sweet kid named Tasha who'd worked there since high school co-op, watched me hand over my badge with her eyes going red. Miss Hendricks, are you really leaving? Yes. I'd painted the walls of our first office myself. I'd waited 3 days outside a client's building in February just to get 10 minutes with their CFO. None of that ever made it into a company memo. Today, the only thing that made it into a memo was my own demotion. That night, I went home to the house we'd bought in our 2nd year of marriage, the one in Leslieville with the wraparound porch. I'd picked the paint color for myself, and I packed. Not my desk. My life. I went into the study safe and pulled 3 folders. My premarital assets, the bank records from selling my condo to fund payroll, the loan guarantees I'd personally co-signed for the firm in year 1. I'd never needed these before. I'd kept them anyway, because the most unreliable thing in the world is a verbal promise. And because some quiet part of me had always known to protect myself, not from suspicion, but from the day I might not be able to prove what I'd given. Marcus came home at 8:30 and stopped dead at the sight of the boxes by the study door. What are you doing? Moving out. The resignation, I can understand that as a reaction. But this, exactly what it sounds like. He saw the half-empty safe. You're taking documents out of our house. They're mine. Do you have to take it this far? I turned to face him. Which step is too far? Putting me on a pay cut list. Handing my clients to a woman who's been here a week? He pressed his fingers to his temples. I told you, Felicity needs an opportunity. You're capable. You can absorb a step back. It won't actually hurt you. I laughed, and it came out colder than I meant it to. So I step back, but I'm not allowed to actually leave. I give up my position, but I'm still responsible for cleaning up whatever mess comes after. My pay gets cut, but I'm not allowed to be upset about it. I get replaced, but I'm still supposed to train my own replacement. He went quiet because he knew I wasn't wrong. Genevieve, we've been married 6 years. You don't have to throw all of that away over a workplace decision. I picked up my phone and showed him the message Felicity had sent me an hour earlier. Genevieve, I know you don't like me, but Marcus has been so tired these past few years. He says he can only relax when he's with me. You're his wife. Shouldn't you want that for him too? Marcus read it, and his jaw tightened. She didn't mean it that way. You haven't even asked her, and you already know what she meant. A flash of irritation crossed his face. Felicity's had a rough few years. It hasn't been easy for her. Has it been easy for me? The study went quiet. The year we almost lost the firm, I flew to 4 cities in 1 week. I was in emergency at St. Mike's with a kidney infection and pulled my own IV out the next morning to make a client meeting. Your mother told me I wasn't acting like a proper wife because I was always off chasing business. I never said a word back. You came home drunk after the Anderson deal closed, and I sat with you until 4 in the morning before going straight to a pitch. Has it been easy for me, Marcus? His lips parted. Nothing came out. I set the ring box on the desk. Moving out is a life decision. As for our marriage, we can go through the legal process for that. He looked like I'd struck him. You want a divorce? This was never about Felicity, I said, slow, deliberate. It's because every time you had to choose between her and me, you never once chose me. The movers arrived at 9. Two guys who took one look at the air in that room and worked in total silence. Marcus didn't try to stop me again, but at the door he asked, quiet, where are you staying tonight? A hotel. I'll drive you. No need. Genevieve, don't turn off your location sharing. I'll worry. I took out my phone, turned it off in front of him and said, you don't need to know where I am anymore. I didn't look back. Something crashed to the floor inside as the door shut behind me. Maybe the ring box. Maybe him. Not my mess to clean up anymore. The next morning, Felicity was sitting in my old office. A coworker, Priya's friend Yara from accounts, sent me the photo. Cream blazer, my old chair, a latte going cold on my old desk, and a vase of pink peonies where my snake plant used to be. The caption, Genevieve. She had facilities throw out the plant you left. That plant survived 4 office moves and a pipe burst in 2022. Felicity had it in the trash by 10 a.m. on day 1. Classic. Erase every trace before you even try to fill the space. At 10, the video call with Holloway Manufacturing went ahead. Supposed to be my meeting, my 4-year client relationship, my renewal negotiation for their entire supply chain integration package. By 10:20, Yara texted again. She changed the pricing. A screenshot followed. Felicity had collapsed our phased delivery model into a single all-inclusive package and slashed the maintenance fee by a third. It wasn't a discount. It was burying long-term risk to make a short-term number look good, and our delivery team would be the ones holding the bag in 18 months. My phone rang 2 minutes later. Theodore Brackman, the CEO of Holloway. Genevieve, are you still on this account? I resigned yesterday, Theodore. A pause, a short, hard laugh. That explains it. Felicity Doyle just told me she's taking over and offered to cut our maintenance fee as a courtesy. She couldn't explain why we split Phase 1 into 3 modules in the first place. According to procedure, they have my handover documents. Documents are one thing. What I want to know is, if this thing falls apart in a year, who's accountable? That's the real question. I can't vouch for the firm anymore, Theodore. I've resigned. I can't make commitments on their behalf. Get it in writing from whoever's responsible now. After we hung up, I created a folder titled Post-Resignation Boundary and started documenting everything. I emailed Theodore directly, copying the firm's general inbox, confirming the exact date I'd resigned, and that I no longer represented the firm in any pricing or delivery capacity. Marcus called 15 minutes later. What is the meaning of that email to Theodore Brackman? It means what it says. You know how much he trusts you. What do you think he's going to think of us? Now, he'll know where the line of responsibility sits. Genevieve, you can resign, but don't sabotage the firm. Am I sabotaging it? Before Felicity changed the pricing, did she review the Phase 1 delivery records? Did she talk to the tech team about cost? Did she confirm what the client actually needed? She just started. It's normal to be unfamiliar with things. Could you not just give her a heads up privately? Give Felicity a heads up? I laughed. Marcus, you demoted me, handed her my clients, and now you want me to quietly teach her how not to fail. Do you hear yourself? He went quiet again because he knew it was true. By mid-afternoon, the call ended early. Felicity had frozen when Theodore asked her 3 direct questions about delivery timelines and warranty terms. Marcus stepped in to save it, and Theodore told him flatly, I'm not here to train your new hire. That sentence made the rounds through the whole firm by 4 o'clock. At 4:30, Desmond called, his voice low. Genevieve, it's chaos here. Felicity wants access to all client files, including your private notes. We're refusing, but she's saying it's on Marcus's orders. My private notes held things that weren't confidential, exactly. Just things built on years of trust, which client's mother had just gone into long-term care, who hated Monday morning calls, who needed 3 days to think before a number got mentioned out loud. Not toys for someone to use to prove herself capable. Private notes aren't part of the formal handover, Desmond. You're not obligated. He exhaled. Good. You're really not coming back? Don't pin your hopes on someone who's already gone, Desmond. Protect your own boundaries. That evening, a text from Marcus. Felicity got grilled on the call today and cried. Are you satisfied? I stared at it a long time. Asking questions isn't grilling. Not being able to answer them is the problem, I wrote back. He didn't reply. At 9, Felicity posted a photo of the peonies on her desk with a caption about carrying a heavy weight and not wanting to disappoint the people who believe in me. Yara sent it to me with a crying lawing emoji. Ignore her, I wrote back. Just document your own work. 10 minutes later, a different message from Marisa Kemp in finance, someone I'd mentored for 2 years. A budget screenshot. Felicity's new client relationship, discretionary fund, increased by $60,000. Approver Marcus Hendricks, purpose listed as relationship restoration, brand maintenance, client entertainment. That money had been earmarked for my old team's Q1 delivery insurance. He couldn't get her to deliver, so he was going to throw cash at the problem. My budget, repurposed to paper over her mistakes. I saved everything. That night I laid out 3 documents side by side. The restructuring list, the client transition plan, the budget reallocation, and understood that none of this had been a snap decision. He'd planned for me to step aside for her months before I ever saw my name on that list. He just never thought I'd actually walk. On the 3rd day, the firm started to come apart. Holloway sent a formal letter pausing the engagement, citing leadership change and unresolved delivery accountability. 2 other major accounts followed within hours. Marisa texted that the entire floor felt like it had hit pause. Felicity hadn't left Marcus's office since 9 a.m., and 2 project leads were arguing loud enough in a conference room that someone threatened to call building security. I didn't feel triumphant. I just looked at the calendar, 3 days. Marcus once told me the clients wouldn't follow me if I left. He was right, technically. They hadn't followed me. They'd just stopped to ask who was actually responsible for their money. At 10:40, Priya texted, "Marcus is in HR. He's demanding we retract your resignation." I called him myself, recording prompt on. "This call is being recorded, Marcus." A pause, surprised. "Why would you, Genevieve? Come back. In what capacity? My title back, my salary restored, my team's authority restored?" Felicity off the accounts. Silence on the other end told me everything. "You know exactly what the problem is," I said. "Now isn't the time for this. 3 clients have paused. We're in real trouble. That's the firm's problem. Yesterday I was the first name on a pay cut list. I can pull the list. You can't pull the humiliation that already went out." I heard Priya's voice in the background, trying to calm him, and then his voice rising. "Priya, reject her resignation in the system right now." Priya, steady. "Marcus, the handover is confirmed and there's no retention clause in her contract. The system processed it automatically once you didn't reject it yesterday. I'm the CEOO, and the employment contract is still the employment contract." It struck me hearing that. Years ago, he was the one who insisted everything be auditable as the firm grew. He never imagined the process he built would be the thing standing between him and dragging me back. "She's my wife," he said, voice cracking. A pause from Priya. "Her resignation was filed as an employee, Marcus, not as a wife." I spoke into the silence that followed. "Did you hear what she just said?" His breathing went heavy. "Does our marriage have to be part of this too?" "You started it," I said. "The moment you used husband to demand I understand Felicity. The moment you decided that as your wife, cleaning up your messes was simply part of the job." In the background, faintly, Felicity's voice. "Marcus, maybe I should apologize to her myself. I don't want this to be because of me." He didn't answer her. I hung up. That afternoon, rumors moved through the firm's group chat that I'd poached clients out of spite, that I was throwing a tantrum because I was the boss's wife, that Felicity was actually the one being treated unfairly, thrown into a mess on day 1. I didn't explain myself to people determined to gossip. I only sent formal emails to my 3 key clients, confirming I held no responsibility for any active project, adding 1 line. "If you need independent risk review down the line, we can speak separately." I wasn't poaching. I was simply getting myself clear of a situation that was no longer mine. That evening, Theodore wrote back, "Are you free tomorrow afternoon? Not to talk about the firm, to talk about what's next for you." I read it twice and felt something settle in my chest. Without Marcus, I wasn't floating in nothing. I still had my reputation, my judgment, my own name. At 7, Marcus's mother called. I let it go to voicemail, her message clipped and very Rosedale. "Genevieve, what couple doesn't fight? Marcus says you've taken this tantrum entirely too far, that it's hurting the firm. A supportive wife doesn't sabotage her husband's life's work. Think about how this looks. For firm matters, contact whoever is currently responsible. For marriage matters, I'll speak with Marcus directly." She replied instantly. "Excuse me?" I didn't answer that one. At 10, the front desk of my hotel called up. A Mr. Hendricks was downstairs asking for me. I looked out the window and saw him leaning against his car under a streetlight, smoking, which he hadn't done in years. I watched for a moment, then closed the curtain and told the desk I wasn't available. I knew, watching that little orange ember in the dark, that he was panicking. Not because he'd lost me. Not yet. He was panicking because the firm was bleeding, the clients had stalled, and Felicity couldn't hold the position he'd handed her. He was only now discovering I wasn't a role he could shuffle back into place in 90 days. I was a person he had personally deleted from the org chart. His mother called from morning, straight through to noon the next day. I let everyone go to voicemail. By the afternoon, she'd switched to the landline at the family house in Forest Hill. When I picked up, her first words were, "Genevieve Hendricks, how long do you intend to keep this up? Is there something I can help you with?" The formality landed exactly the way I wanted it to. Her voice sharpened. "You don't even call me Constance anymore. My status with Marcus hasn't changed yet." My tone adjusts to match it. A short silence. "Come for dinner tonight. Marcus will be there too. Let's clear the air." A wife who causes this much chaos for her husband's company, what does that look like? I'm not the one who caused it. The clients paused because of leadership instability and pricing risk. Don't give me corporate talk, Genevieve. You're jealous of Felicity, plain and simple. I almost laughed. In their world, every problem traced back to my jealousy. I agreed to come. Mostly because I had a feeling some things were better said with everyone at the table at once rather than parsed out over the phone, piece by piece. Dinner was at 7. The dining room full of dark wood and family portraits and the smell of his mother's beef bourguignon, which I used to love and now found I'd lost my appetite for entirely. Constance sat at the head, Marcus to her right, and Felicity beside him in a soft blue blouse, looking artfully disheveled. She stood when she saw me. "Genevieve, I didn't want to come tonight, but Constance thought it would help to talk things through." "It's fine that you're here," I said. Her face flickered. Constance slapped her hand flat on the table. "What kind of attitude is that, Genevieve? Felicity is a guest. A guest sitting beside another woman's husband. How familiar." I set my bag on the empty chair beside me and sat. "Weren't we going to talk? Let's talk. Eat first," Constance said. "I'm not hungry." Marcus cut in. "Mom. Let's get to the point." He looked at me. "The firm needs you back. Salary, title, all of it restored. The accounts team is yours again." "And Felicity?" Felicity lowered her eyes. "I'll step back if Genevieve comes back. I never wanted to take anything in the first place. Marcus just thought I deserved a fresh start." "A fresh start," I said. "Why did your fresh start have to begin in my office?" Her eyes welled. Constance jumped to her defense. "You're her senior. Why can't you give her a chance? Felicity's had it hard the last few years. She's not as capable as you. She just got back into the country. Is it so wrong for Marcus to look out for her a little?" "It isn't wrong to look out for someone," I said. "It's wrong to use my salary, my team, my clients, and my delivery budget to do it." Constance had no answer for that. Marcus said grim, "I'll admit how I handled it wasn't ideal." "Not ideal isn't an apology." I reached into my bag and put a printed stack on the Lazy Susan, spinning it toward his mother. It was premeditated. First page, the restructuring list. Second, the client transition plan. Third, the budget reallocation. Fourth, the office move request for Felicity, all approved weeks before I ever saw my name on a list. Constance didn't know the business details, but she understood dates. "What is this? This is what you've been calling me overreacting." The dining room went silent. Felicity gripped the fabric of her sleeve. "You all had this planned," I said. "You just didn't tell me." Marcus's face went hard. "Where did you get these documents?" "From access I was entitled to. The download timestamps are all before my resignation, before you start trying to pin something on me." Felicity burst into tears. "Genevieve, I really didn't know this would hurt you this much. Marcus said you were so capable that giving up a little wouldn't even touch your position. You don't have to put all of it on him," I said. "Your signature's on the transition plan too." Her face went white. Constance shielded her instantly. "She just signed what Marcus told her to sign. She's new, what does she know?" "Exactly," I said. "So I don't understand why someone who doesn't even know what she's signing is qualified to run a $40 million accounts portfolio." The words sat in the air like a slap. Marcus finally said, "That's enough. You were brought here to solve a problem, not put everyone on trial." "You're wrong," I said. "I came here to tell you I'm not coming back. I've also spoken to a lawyer. Divorce, division of assets, the funds I put into the firm early on, my vested equity, every dollar that moved from my personal accounts into this business over 6 years. All of it needs to be reassessed." Constance shot to her feet. "Are you trying to destroy everything he built?" "I'm not destroying anything," I said, looking only at Marcus. "He did that the moment he started treating me like something disposable." Felicity sobbed. "Genevieve, please. Marcus has been under so much stress." I looked at her. "Your cleverest trick is always positioning yourself as the one who needs taking care of." Her sobbing caught. "Unfortunately for you, I'm not doing that anymore." I stood and left. Marcus caught up with me at the front door, the night air cold off the lake, and for the first time I saw real exhaustion on him. "Genevieve, is divorce really the only way?" I thought of every time over 6 years I'd waited, for him to notice the hours, to defend me to his mother, to draw a line with Felicity, to give me one word of warning before my own salary got cut. "It's not that you don't know I'm in pain, Marcus. You've just always assumed I'd still be standing here after." His face strained. I walked to my car. He didn't follow. The next morning, Marisa from finance asked to meet at a cafe on Queen Street, glancing around twice before sliding a USB drive across the table. I'm not sure I should be giving you this. What's on it? Felicity's expense reports. A few of her revised proposals. She bit her lip. I don't want to take sides. But she's asking us to reclassify entertainment spending as client maintenance, and the receipts don't even match. Have you documented this properly? Within your own authority? Yes to both. I took it. Thank you. Protect yourself first. She smiled, tired. You used to say that to all of us. Back at the small office I was renting by the week, I opened the drive. Felicity's revised proposal for one client was nearly identical, paragraph for paragraph, to a proposal I'd written for a totally different client the year before. Different industry, different system requirements, different risk profile, with the cover page swapped and a few numbers changed. A direct copy-paste into a situation it was never built for. A disaster waiting on a timer. Did you take company documents? I almost laughed at the accusation, him defending her, suspecting me first, the way he always did now. All materials in my possession were obtained legally and relate to my own rights and obligations, I wrote. Don't burn bridges you might need later, he replied. He called minutes after. Genevieve, did Felicity copy your old proposal? A pause. She referenced departmental materials. Referencing and copying aren't the same thing. She's new. She can't get it perfect the first time. So you want me to fix it for her again? This account matters. Help her privately. You don't even have to put your name on it. I almost laughed out loud at how naturally that came out of him. 6 years of cleaning up his messes, smoothing over his investors, soothing his clients, covering for him at his mother's birthday dinner the year Felicity showed up uninvited. And now he wanted me to fix his new hire's plagiarized work, anonymously, like a favor. On what grounds, Marcus? On the grounds that you put half your life into this firm. I put half my life into this firm, and you put me on a pay cut list. I already said that wasn't handled well. Not handled well isn't an apology. He went quiet, unused to me laying things out this plainly. The old me would have softened by now. What is it you actually want? He finally asked. The words landed and the line went dead silent. Don't threaten me with that, he said eventually. It's not a threat, I said. It's a notification, I hung up. Half an hour later, Felicity sent a company-wide email, not to me directly, CC'd to Marcus and the senior account team about post-resignation interference, gently implying I was still using my old relationships to undermine the new structure, that she was willing to be misunderstood for the sake of the firm. The internal chat lit up immediately. She'd cast herself as the bullied newcomer and me as the bitter ex-employee who couldn't let go. If I stayed quiet, the story would stick. If I fought back, she'd just look more wronged. I replied with 4 attachments. The Holloway suspension letter, the before and after pricing comparison, the plagiarism comparison, and my resignation confirmation. 1 sentence in the body. Ms. Doyle, please clarify which of the above project risks were caused by my interference after resignation. No reply for 20 minutes. The whole team saw it. She ran straight to Marcus's office looking devastated. That evening, Theodore called. Genevieve, you free to talk? Yes. I heard the firm's spinning a story that you're interfering with active projects. He laughed, low. Marcus came to see me personally to explain. Said Felicity's still finding her footing, but they'd love to bring you on as a background consultant. I didn't agree to that. Figured. So, would you ever consider taking on independent risk consulting? I thought it through. I couldn't poach clients from a firm I'd just left, but an independent assessment built strictly around a client's own needs, untouched by the firm's project data, was a different thing entirely. We can talk, on the condition it stays clear of any existing contract scope, and everything's in writing. He laughed again. There's the Genevieve I remember. I hadn't planned on attending the industry mixer that Friday. An invite from Theodore, not about the firm, about the industry, he'd said, but something in me wanted to be seen as Genevieve. Not as Mrs. Hendricks. For 6 years, that was who people introduced me as. She's very capable, Marcus's wife. I put on a black suit and went. I took a seat near the back, away from the head table. Halfway through, Marcus walked in with Felicity, who'd dressed for the occasion in a sharp gray blazer with a company pin on the lapel, head tilted up like a newly crowned something. Marcus's stride hitched when he saw me. He recovered. When the moderator introduced the firm, he went up and talked about an evolved, dynamic client engagement model, and Felicity sat in the front row with the satisfied look of someone who'd already won. During Q&A, Theodore raised his hand. Marcus, who's currently heading your strategic accounts team, a beat too long. Felicity Doyle is coordinating it. I'm overseeing personally and Genevieve Hendricks. The whole room went still. I picked up the mic at my table before Marcus could answer. Correction, I'm not on leave. I've formally resigned. A ripple of murmurs went through the crowd. Felicity stood, voice soft and reasonable. Genevieve, this is an industry event, maybe not the place to discuss internal matters? I'm simply correcting the record. Theodore again. A change in account leadership isn't a private matter when our money's involved. Another client chimed in, nodding. We've always dealt with Genevieve. This change deserves an explanation. Felicity forced a smile. I assure everyone Genevieve left thorough documentation, and I'm working hard to get up to speed. Theodore pressed. Felicity, your proposal cut our maintenance fee under 10%. Who's covering the service cost over the next 3 years? Her smile cracked. She fumbled through papers. That part can be optimized going forward. Silence. Her eyes welled and she looked at me like I'd wronged her personally. You see, they only recognize you. I've been trying so hard. A woman beside me, a client I barely knew, said flatly, Mrs. Doyle, we're not your professors. We're not obligated to give you room to learn on our budget. That landed harder than anything I could have said. Felicity froze completely. Marcus on stage looked at me like he wanted me to step in and smooth it over the way I always had. I set the microphone down. I wasn't doing that anymore. Let him handle his own crisis. We can discuss project specifics privately afterward, he said weakly. Theodore didn't let it go. Marcus, we weren't buying your firm's name. We were buying Genevieve Hendrix's delivery. Every eye in the room turned toward me. Felicity's face flushed crimson. Marcus went gray. I stood. Thank you for your trust, but I've left the firm, and I can't and won't speak on its behalf. If anyone needs independent consulting within legal bounds, you can reach me directly. I picked up my bag and walked out. No accusations. Everyone understood anyway. Marcus caught me outside on the steps. Did you have to humiliate me in there? Which part was false? He had no answer. You said I was on leave. I corrected it. You put Felicity in charge. A client asked her a fair question. Humiliation isn't something other people hand you, Marcus. It's something you arrange for yourself. His eyes held something between rage and panic. You knew she couldn't handle that. Why did you let me put her up there? I didn't put her there. He had no answer for that either, because the truth was simple. He wanted her glory and my competence both, and the world doesn't sell that deal. Felicity ran out after him, breathless. Marcus, did I embarrass you? He instinctively reached out to steady her. The motion so practiced it killed the last bit of hesitation in me. I almost laughed. How did I not see this before? He turned. What are you laughing at? You're good at protecting someone, I said. You just never chose to protect me. A car pulled up. Before I shut the door, he grabbed it. Genevieve, let's talk. Don't give your clients an even more embarrassing scene to watch. I closed the door gently. In the mirror, I watched Felicity clutch his sleeve while his eyes stayed on my car. A belated look means nothing. He tried everything after that. Calls I didn't take. Emails offering a new consulting contract at whatever fee you want. Texts insisting a marriage isn't something you handle with a resignation letter. I told him plainly, I don't take business from the firm, full stop. He showed up at my building eventually, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. How did you find this place? He didn't answer right away. My mother had the driver follow you once. Of course she did. I already told her off. You always tell her off, I said. I'm always the one who pays for it. Genevieve, I know you were wronged. It was the first time he'd said it. Too late to matter. What exactly do you think you were wrong about? He struggled. I shouldn't have put your name on the list. Not enough. I shouldn't have let Felicity take your clients. Still not enough. What do you want me to say? You treated me as your fallback. You can support her, give her chances, but you can't assume I'll pay the price for it. I never treated you as a fallback, you did. Every time she failed, you came to me. Every time the firm wobbled, you came to me. Every time your mother criticized me at dinner, you said nothing. Now that everything's falling apart, you finally say I was wronged. You always wait until it's unsalvageable to remember me. He grabbed the box out of my hands. Don't go. It's our anniversary. I'd genuinely forgotten. October 14th. He'd booked the same Italian place I used to love. I told him I hadn't eaten there in 3 years, since the ulcer. You didn't know that, I said, watching it land. You know Felicity's allergic to ragweed. You know she's scared of the dark. You don't know I stopped looking forward to our anniversary 2 years ago. A taxi pulled up. Felicity climbed out, eyes already filling. Marcus, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Theodore officially sent the termination letter. The board wants you back tonight. Then to me, Genevieve, I know you hate me, but the firm is genuinely about to fall apart. Can you help him just this once? I looked at her. Do you actually want me to help him? She froze. Because if I go back, the accounts are mine again. Your budget gets audited. Every proposal you signed gets reviewed. Are you sure that's what you want? Her face went white. She had nothing left to cry about. I handed Marcus a folder. The cover read divorce petition. You said a marriage can't be handled with a resignation, I said. Let's handle it with this instead. I won't sign it. You will, if not today, then someday. I walked past both of them into my building. He didn't follow. A few days later, Marcus sent a formal meeting invite to clarify project handover facts and stabilize morale. Really just an attempt to get me to stand in a room and confirm everything was fine. I told him I'd attend, but I'd only state facts, no more. The conference room was packed Friday afternoon. I didn't take the seat he'd arranged near him. I sat by the door, ready to leave whenever I wanted, and when he opened with, "We've asked Genevieve to clarify the facts," I stood, took the remote, and put the restructuring list on the big screen first. I walked them through every document: the list, the transition plan, the budget reallocation, the copied proposal, the texts. Desmond stood and confirmed the handover had been clean. Priya confirmed the resignation had been compliant and that Marcus had tried to retract it after the window closed. Marisa confirmed the budget discrepancies. One by one, people who'd been staring at their laptops looked up. Felicity sobbed through most of it. Nobody comforted her. "Mr. Hendricks," I said when I finished, "I've stated the facts. After today, I have no further relationship with this firm." He caught me at the door. "Are you really cutting ties this cleanly?" I didn't turn around. "You're the one who put 6 years of marriage on a restructuring list, Marcus." I left him standing there. I hadn't won applause. I'd won my own name back, which mattered more. The courthouse appointment was the following Monday. Marcus didn't confirm until Sunday night. "I'll be there." I wrote back, "Okay," and nothing more. He arrived in a black suit, like he was heading into a board meeting. "Been waiting long?" "No. Can we talk first?" "We've talked plenty." I handed him the papers. "I went through the old financial records last night," he said, voice rough. "The money from your condo sale. It was never formally settled. I told you it needed to be. After our first big funding round, I sent you an email about it. You said we were married, there was no rush." He went pale. He remembered. His phone rang, his mother, he ignored it. Then Felicity, immediately after. He answered that one on speaker without thinking, and her voice came out frantic. "Marcus, the board wants me in for an investigation into the budget. Can you come back? I don't know what to do." "Cooperate with them," he said, eyes shut. "But you said you'd protect me." His hand curled into a fist. Felicity kept going, unraveling. "I admit I wanted to prove myself. I admit I don't like Genevieve. But you told me to sign those documents. You can't put all the blame on me. I came back because you promised me a position. You told me she was strong, that she wouldn't really mind. You said she was your wife and she'd clean it up in the end." People moved past us on the courthouse steps. Marcus's face went gray, then ashen. "I'm not a bad person," Felicity sobbed on, oblivious. "I was just scared I'd have nothing. Scared you'd go back to her. I wanted her position. I wanted everyone to see me." He hung up. "Genevieve, let's go in," I said. Inside, the clerk asked if we were both there voluntarily. "I am," I said. Marcus hesitated, pen in hand, veins standing out, and his phone buzzed once more, the board this time. He didn't pick up. "Sir, are you voluntarily filing for divorce?" He looked at me. I watched something in his eyes that I'd waited years to see: regret. Real this time. Too late, the way it always was with him. "I am," he said finally. It was faster than I expected. The little certificate they handed me felt almost weightless for something that ended 6 years. Outside, he followed me down the steps. If Felicity had never joined the firm, would we still be here? I thought about it honestly. Maybe later. Maybe over something else. "It was never just about her," I said. "It was that you always believed I'd never leave. What will you do now?" "I'll be fine," I said. Not for him, for myself. A car pulled up. "Can I still contact you?" he asked before I got in. "For work, sure. For anything personal, there's no need." He had nothing left to say. I didn't cry on the ride home. I changed his contact name in my phone from Marcus to his full legal name and unpinned him from the top of my favorites. The first month after, I barely had time to look back. Theodore introduced me to 2 new companies for independent consulting work. I didn't rush into building another big firm. I started small, a one-woman studio called Hendricks Risk Advisory, the name made up of my own and the idea that good counsel builds lasting things. The day I signed my first independent contract, the room was small, no glass walls, no team fawning around me, and I felt an unfamiliar, steady kind of peace. "Are you sure you only want to consult?" the client asked. "Not interested in building another team, maybe someday. For now, I want my own pace." "That's exactly what we're interested in," she said. I signed my name. Just Genevieve Hendricks. Not Mrs. Anyone. Priya left the firm not long after. Marisa followed. Desmond and Yara stayed but asked to be pulled off anything connected to Felicity's accounts. The internal audit came back ugly. Unexplained spending, the plagiarized proposal, the lost contracts. The board held Marcus directly accountable for mismanagement. Felicity resigned, leaving behind a long message in the company chat about being overshadowed and not protected. Nobody replied. Crying loudest doesn't get you out of accountability in the adult world. Marcus's approval authority got partially suspended by the board. The firm kept running, just not as his one-man show anymore. I felt almost nothing when I heard. That evening, an email arrived from him. Subject line, "I'm sorry." Long, full of things he'd apparently just now understood. How much money I'd put in, how much risk I'd absorbed quietly for years, how it took the board questioning him for him to finally feel what that was like. He said he didn't see Felicity off the day she left. He said he'd driven past our old house and seen the empty front hall, and only then understood the house was never what held things together. At the end, "Genevieve, I don't expect you to come back. I just wanted you to hear, in my own words, that I was truly wrong." I read it once and archived it without replying. Not out of bitterness. The wound had already scarred over, and reopening it wouldn't serve anything. That night, a text from an unknown number. "Genevieve, I'm leaving the city. I used to envy you, and I was afraid of you too. Now I understand the position I fought for was never one I could actually hold. I'm sorry." I deleted it without replying. The studio group chat lit up that night. Marisa sent a photo of her and Priya eating dim sum, both laughing. Marisa wrote, "I turned down an unreasonable request today and took zero blame for it. Felt incredible." Desmond replied, "Congratulations, you graduated." I smiled at my phone, alone in my new office. When one person finally sets a boundary, everyone around them slowly learns how to stand up straighter too. That mattered more to me than any kind of revenge ever could have. A few months later, I saw Marcus again at a signing event downtown. He was thinner, sitting in the audience while I went on stage as the founder of Hendricks Risk Advisory to close a contract with a new client. Under the lights, I remembered him telling me once he'd give me the best seat in the building. Turns out you don't need anyone to give you that seat. You just have to walk up and take it. After the applause, he was waiting at the end of the hallway, keeping his distance. "Genevieve, I have the lawyers settling the money from the condo sale," he said. "And the equity, per the agreement. Thank you, you deserve it." He looked at me a long moment. "You're doing well." "Yes, I used to think you couldn't leave the firm. Couldn't leave me." "I used to think that too," I said, even. "Now I know people only really start living when they finally leave the wrong place." Someone called my name from down the hall. "I have to go," I told him. He nodded but didn't move. As I walked past, I heard him say, quiet, "Genevieve Hendricks, I wish you all the best." I paused, just for a second. "And I hope you learn to respect people." That was the last thing I ever said to him. My new office isn't large, but the light comes in beautifully every morning. I kept a plant by the window, something close to the one Felicity threw out without thinking twice. When Marisa visited, she pointed at it. "Genevieve, this one looks so healthy. It can thrive anywhere," I told her, "as long as somebody actually waters it." She didn't catch the second meaning. I let it go. For years, I'd sheltered everyone around me. Marcus from his own risk, his mother from the cracks in their family, Felicity from her own incompetence, Sargent from rot that had set in long before any of this started. You can't be everyone's fallback forever. Eventually, you run out of road of your own. I'm not the bigger picture for anyone now. I'm not anybody's safety net. I'm Genevieve Hendricks, and I'm the one building this, on my own terms, for the first time in my life.